Well, and good morning. Congratulations on making the shortlist, and we are.
Thank you.
What's that?
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Sorry.
I'm highly distracted by anything. So, as a reminder, you have 25 minutes for your presentation, and we have 20 minutes for question and answer. Your time will start once we turn it over to you for your own introduction. Before then, I'm going to call the roll, and when I say your name, please unmute your microphone and indicate that you're present. Jennifer Barber-Port.
Here.
I don't think Erin is here yet. She will be in a minute. Sue Anderson, Minnesota State Arts Board.
Present.
Bill Byer, representing AIA Minnesota.
I'm here.
Tom Murphy, representing AGC.
Present.
Jan Shagaloff, representing SDSB.
Present.
Ted Tucker, public member of the board.
Present.
I am turning it over to you, Mark, for introductions of your people.
Sure. Mark Partridge, University Architect, and I also have John Kessler with us, who's from the Duluth campus.
Okay. And I am Catherine Leonidas, Chair and public member of the board. And note that as of this moment, we have 3 attendees who are not participants or panelists. And with that, I will turn it over to you, Melissa, for your presentation.
Great. Thank you and good morning, everybody. We greatly appreciate the opportunity to be with you here today to discuss our team's knowledge and excitement for the A.B. Anderson renovation project. My name is Melissa Graftis. I'm with Architecture Advantage. I will be the principal in charge for the project. I'll be behind the scenes working on contracts, staffing, scheduling, and our internal quality control reviews for the project.
I'm Kane Tews. I'm the project architect. I'll be with Architecture Advantage. I'll be with the project from beginning to end. I've got a long 15-year relationship with Nick and Dunham, and it took me 15 years to figure out that Nick is not a hugger.
And my name's Nick Eigel. I'm with Dunham Associates. You can see me now. I'll be the lead mechanical engineer on the project. And like Kane said, been doing work all over on campus for the last 15 years. A lot of challenging projects there, and I look forward to the challenging project here.
My name is Jim LeClaire with Dunham. I will be the electrical engineer for the project.
I'm Paul Reamer, mechanical engineer with Dunham. I'll be working on Energy B3 and SB 2030.
Thank you. And beyond those of us here today with you, we have a great team fully supporting your project that have been chosen for their strengths with this project type, as well as their history with the University of Minnesota and UMD specifically. So why this team? The graphic we put together on this page was developed by our leadership team as well as our entire staff to truly define what the core values are of why we love what we do at Architecture Advantage. And we also incorporated feedback from our consultant teams and clients. And you'll see here the strongest of teamwork, dedication, responsive, adaptable, genuine, respectful. These are all really at the heart of what we do and that allow us to deliver a successful project for all of you. We are your team. We're a proven team on campus, and we are currently on campus, giving you greater access to us. Important to us and to every project is that you have a consistent team from start to finish. And the individuals we have here with us today who will be continuing the presentation will truly be the boots on the ground from day one until project completion. I just lost my presentation.
Thanks, Melissa. While you get
Hang on
going,
one second, Kane. No, I can speak to just one item. Yeah, let's get back. There we go. Is that showing back for everybody? I'm just going to leave it on the screen if that's okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
We have laid out on this slide the risks and challenges that we identified in our proposal response. And that's how we've put together our presentation for you here today. We prefer to look at these as opportunities for the project. So you'll see us throughout the rest of the presentation referring to these risks and challenges that we developed. Renovation projects such as this do bring a higher level of difficulty than new construction, and we thrive at those challenges for a project like this. So Kane is going to start us out with wayfinding and aesthetic opportunities.
Yeah, in our proposal, we identified, along with this list that Melissa's that we put together as a team, we had 7 items that we thought are critical to this project. Number 1 being creating a healthy building, probably in this order. Number 1, creating a healthy building. Number 2, updating the existing life safety systems. And then number 3, making this an experience, enhancing the student experience. And the first way to do that is to find the building. The image on the left is A.B. Anderson standing from University Drive. It's obviously there, but there's no clear entrance into the building. As we get up to the Solon Campus Center parking lot on the upper right, we see a sidewalk that leads up to the entrance of Chena Hall. And then when you get to Chena Hall and you turn around, there's finally the entrance into A.B. Anderson tucked in an alcove. Next slide. So now we're talking about entrance, and you can see on the site plan that the possible new entrance, or giving us some image to A.B. Anderson, would have a direct relationship to Solon Campus Center. The upper right image shows approximately where the entrance would be, and we could showcase it with some signage. The middle right and bottom right are images that we've done recently to a campus, the Hibbing Community College, where it didn't have an entrance, no defined entrance, and we added a new entrance. So when people are driving by the campus, they know where to go. Next slide. So as part of this new entrance, there's a possibility of updating a quad. There's an existing quad that's flat. It has grass, even has some Dunham equipment in the northwest corner of it. But like we just did at Ordine Court, we created a nook and a cranny for students to possibly, maybe we put some benches in there and some landscaping for students to actually enjoy the outdoors, which we can do in Duluth. Next slide. Now, wayfinding interior is quite interesting. The 2 images on the left are looking down the humanities concourse. And you don't see A.B. Anderson Hall until on the right photo, you walked right by it. And you only know it's A.B. Anderson Hall via the signage. And it's really a nondescript entrance. Go to the next slide. So here, it's a little hard to see, but the image on the left is again showing the concourse at Humanities, and the perspective sends you all the way down the corridor. But on the image on the right, I need these to see it. I'm to that age. But we're talking about possibly putting a soffit with the signage to help break up that perspective and actually start to cue people in as to where to go. Next slide. And then once you get into the A.B. Anderson Hall, there's a series of, it's a corridor that wraps around a central core. And that central core looks very much the same. We've got a ceramic tile block and almost there. So so the block, and it's really, you walk around the center core where the stairs and the elevator are, and you don't get a sense of where you're at. But there are opportunities where there, as part of the floor plan, half the building is faculty offices, and the other half is would be the classrooms and student spaces. And a way to really differentiate between the faculty offices and the student spaces would be to develop look at the flooring, look at the walls, look at the ceilings, and really adjusting how we treat those. So then when students walk into the space, they know what's faculty, and then we have a transition into the student space. So we'll have, so here's the sameness. What I like about this is fine, Melissa. On the far right, we've got 3 exit signs within 25 feet of each other. But it really, you walk around and everything's the same. And then the next slide is talking about, on the white is the faculty, and the red at the end of the corridor would be the classrooms. And the 2 images we're showing are examples of what we did on what you could do to flooring to really pop out a spot, and then the ceiling, where we can make adjustments to the ceiling as long as Nick can do 4-inch high by 60-inch wide ducts. So I'm sure he can do that. Next slide. So on our next slide, it was talking about some possibility of doing some pre-function space. These are spaces outside the classrooms where have these very large display cases. And right now, as you can see, they're maybe 50% used. The one on the upper left looks like it's storage. The one in the middle is not used. And the one on the right is the club, art club has put up some partition walls. But what we'd suggest is the possibility of removing these and providing a display elsewhere, but really open up this space in front of the classrooms. And we have a lot of our background, a lot of our architecture has been based in hospitality, and we bring that into all of our projects that we do. And the 2 images below are spaces that the one on the left is the lower left is a pre-function space, and then the image on the right is lounging, study, group meeting space. Next slide. It talked about code issues. I think the biggest code issue, because it affects space, is the toilets. This building is woefully undersized in the toilets, and just from doing some occupancy calcs, it looks like we might need up to 4 women's and 4 men's toilets. We're going to have to find space for it, which is not bad, because both mechanically and we need shafts. We've got some steam lines that we want to bring in. We're going to need to increase shafts, and then technology-wise, we don't have any tech closets in here that we're going to have to find room for. Nick?
Yeah, so if we start looking at the mechanical systems here, we understand that A.B. Anderson Hall is the most uncomfortable building on campus. There's even reports of this building need to be closed over the summer and having the classes canceled due to the high temperatures within the building. So the major challenge with this project is improving the thermal comfort and providing the increased ventilation rates. The other challenges that we have noted on the side here are really secondary to that major challenge here. So if we start to look at a typical floor here and the distribution challenge, to get that those narrow ducts that Kane was referring to will be a challenge, because the floor structure, we're 11'4" with a 9'6" clear, which is less than we've done on the Montague Hall project on campus a few years back. So we really need to look at a system that can accommodate that lower structure height there. So one of the proposals that we'd be looking at here would be a chill beam system with a dedicated outside air system. This system allows you to provide 65% less airflow over a standard VAV, which was in the pre-design. And if you see what that can do on a floor-by-floor distribution, the air required per floor, doing some back of the napkin calcs here, is about 2,200 CFM for a DOAS system with chill beams, compared to about 6,500 CFM with a VAV system. So what that means is that supply main coming out of the shaft, the green one in the center there, would be a 30 by 12 duct for a DOAS system, compared to a 60 by 18 duct with a VAV system. So that duct size and shaft size will affect the program, and the smaller we can get it, the more pre-function space and less impact you have on other areas of the building here. The other thing that the smaller, lower airflow does is it helps improve the acoustics within the space. Less airflow equals less noise within each of the spaces. So it's more similar to what the occupants are used to hearing right now. The other thing to keep in mind is these systems require more precise humidity control. And we've done that on campus, design systems to control to the more precise humidity with the Tweed Museum and the library annex here. Last thing I want to touch on this here is looking at the distribution. If you notice in the shaft, I have a supply duct in the middle that's noted in green, and the red ducts noted on the outside, which are returns. By splitting them like that, you see I can do a preliminary layout here that shows that we're not having any duct crossing aside from one area on the left side of the plan there. So we can help keep these ceilings up and help with the overall feel. So overall solution, higher ceilings equals a better environment. Next slide, please. So if we step up to the penthouse here, the penthouse is going to require more space from mechanical systems, and our proposal is to infill the space between the two existing penthouses.
And we've talked with our structural engineer, John Almett, and he's verified that, yes, this building can withstand the addition of another floor. So we're confident that adding or enclosing the penthouse to make it the one penthouse will work. One of the other unique items of this is you see the stair in the center of the penthouse, and we will need to extend the existing stairs up to the penthouse.
So then going back to the mechanical systems, what this does is allow the chill water, the domestic water, and the steam equipment all to be located within the building in the new portion of the penthouse. And we can repurpose the left portion of the penthouse for the new dedicated outside air system, which gives us enough room for maintenance and energy recovery coils and whatnot. The other thing to note here is the placement of the air-cooled chiller being on the north side of the building. We can put some sound walls and we can help direct that sound so we're not affecting Ordean Court or Weber Music Hall to the right on the plan. Next slide, please. So we step down to the basement. We understand that this area has the arts, which requires areas for painting and VOC control, areas for metalworking, dust capture, and soldering control, as well as ceramics for the kiln and heat removal. So as I mentioned before, we've done this work a number of places, most recently on campus here by adding additional kilns over in the NWA building. Preliminary plan suggests that, or preliminary review of the existing plans suggests there's 20,000 CFM of exhaust in this area. So our first order of work would be to verify the quantity of exhaust that's required to maintain a safe environment, because that will drive the air handler size. That air handler, if we put it back in the existing location where the 3 units are in the lower level, so it's on the upper left-hand corner of the plan here, that will be tight, but it's not outside of what we've worked on before, and solutions that we've applied to make the area accessible and maintainable for the university. Next slide, please. And then taking a step out and looking at the campus infrastructure here. So we have a long experience working with the campus, and we understand the chill water system, the MUSL system, which is multi-source, multi-load, has 3 generation points, and chill water pumps that are in each of the buildings. And the thing with this system is you really need to understand how to properly size those pumps, because if you don't, then it'll have a domino effect on the adjacent buildings here. So we zoom in, and next slide, please, and look at the specific impacts to the Tweed or from the Tweed through Humanities to A.B. Anderson Hall. The existing chill water piping that goes through Humanities is not sufficiently sized to feed the new building. So our proposal would be to take that 5-inch pipe out and put a larger pipe in that would feed A.B. Anderson, Humanities, and Weber. So it'd be sized for future for Humanities. We understand that the area underneath the Tweed is only about 4 feet of crawl space to work with, so it's not going to be very easy to do, but we have done some modification of piping in that area before, so we understand the challenges there. If we look at the steam side, there is a steam main with a high pressure reducing station down in Humanities that feeds into A.B. Anderson. So we'd have some conversations with the facilities to see if keeping that in that same location is appropriate, or if we want to move that into the A.B. Anderson Hall itself and do the reducing there. So I do see that station needs to be upgraded to accommodate the new load for the building. And then finally, a lot of the campus steam condensate comes through Humanities with that existing steam condensate room. So evaluating the size of that and making sure we're picking up the rest of the campus load is key here. Next slide.
Similar to the mechanical campus infrastructure, we can't forget about the IT infrastructure. This will be a critical aspect to the project. Leave it to the guy that can't get the camera to work to talk about technology systems. But in all seriousness, when the students do come back and this building is full of students, they're each going to have 2 or 3 connected devices that need to be on the network. So we need to build a robust infrastructure that can support that. Through our work with the IT staff on past projects, we understand that we're going to have dedicated IT closets on the floors. So collectively, Kane and Nick, we're all going to be fighting for space, but there's a lot of program that we're going to cramp into the core of this building to make it work. And we've done it in the past on campus as well. Next slide. We decided to title this slide, Untangling the Security Systems. Oftentimes in these older buildings, you have multiple systems, and we're actually up against this challenge right now in the Tweed Museum. Kane's team and our team is working to upgrade the security systems in that building. The picture to the right there, you can see a fire alarm panel, an iStar access control panel, and a door hardware panel. Those are 3 different systems that all need to work together, as well as the Tweed security panel. So we are untangling that security system currently on campus, and we're familiar with both the Twin Cities standards and Duluth standards. Next slide.
This project will also be participating in the B3 and SB 2030 programs. Some things have been changing, so we put a timeline on here showing that when the pre-design was issued in 2016, they were working with version 2.2 of the guidelines. They had the 70% targets. They knew that the targets were going to ratchet in 2020, but since that pre-design, we've also had 3 revisions to the B3 guidelines. So we think it's going to be important for us as a team to get together early with the university and see which of those revisions we want to opt into. We have the option to opt into those. We think the streamlined phases of submissions, we think that would be valuable going forward. And then we have another slide here dedicated to the SB 2030 target. We're going to probably have a sliver of new construction for that penthouse area, but will primarily be a major renovation. Because that pre-design was back in before 2020, we're grandfathered into the 40% energy and carbon targets. We've shown that up there, the energy target, at least up in the upper right. In terms of an energy usage intensity EUI, we expect the target to be about 94 site kBTUs a square foot. We expect to meet that and surpass that based on our experience on past renovation projects and based on the mechanical system types that we're suggesting here, and some other additional strategies in terms of heat recovery and demand controlled ventilation. We really think we can exceed that, even given some of the other constraints on the project. We do have that full air side system replacement, as well as full or nearly full lighting system replacement.
And Paul and I have worked on numerous B3 projects together. So we filled out the forms, and so we've done again in renovation project as well. Not a glamorous by any means construction administration, but it's where all of our design and hard work comes together. We're experienced with CM at risk, and especially on the UMD campus. When I say we, Dunham and I have worked on Montague Hall, which is a CM at risk with McGough Construction. What's great, and usually when we've done CM at risk, it isn't until after DD that CM gets on board. What I like about this process is, as we're in schematic design, we'll have the CM there to help us navigate budgets as we move along. It'll help us hone the drawings a lot quicker and get a more complete set faster. And just in terms of, I pride ourselves on our construction administration. We're a very accessible team. Usually we're helping the contractor out, and they don't tell us things until they're going to be pouring concrete the next day. So we have to get out there immediately, which isn't a problem. It's if we can make it, we're there, and typically we are. And it's not only beneficial to the university, it's just beneficial to the whole team. And this summer we are going to be having quite a bit of CA work on campus, and I think that's a huge benefit to the university. We're there, and usually we could lump other projects together, even if we're not meeting. We end up doing impromptu meetings. So our work on campus is definitely would benefit this project as well.
We are the team ready to start diving into this project for you to accomplish your design, schedule, and budget needs. You will not find a more dedicated group that's committed to project success on the UMD campus, and we're very proud of that. The consistency that we provide in both our experience and expertise in renovation, design, in this building, and on campus will provide a project success for all. We thank you for your time this morning. We know that these virtual meetings are more challenging for everybody, so we're looking forward to opening it up for Q&A.
Well, thank you very much. We've overcome the glitches, so made it through one. With that, I am going to open up the questions first to the university. And Mark, you're on mute.
I knew that, of course. Thanks. So you mentioned schedule. I don't know if you showed us, any kind of graphic schedule, but could you address the concerns you might have about the schedule? And I'm thinking, vis-a-vis programming particularly.
But yeah, so in our
thank you.
Yeah, our back pocket slide.
Yes.
Yeah, so we've laid out a schedule. I believe it's doable. The questions we've done. Montague Hall was very similar. The question would be who from the university has to review this. We can hit this schedule. It's matter of we just have to hit the ground running, and
right.
As soon as if we're awarded the project, what we like to do is we have this get dirty mentality where we're all over the building. We need to know more about the building than the facilities people. But at that time, usually we do a kind of a day thing where we're climbing all over the building, and we have end user meetings. And so it's like great within those first couple of weeks to have facilities and end user meetings to really kick it off. And it's these early stages where we need to get as much information as we can on the table. And like I said before, getting the CM at risk involved early is really going to help this process out.
Yeah, and what we've laid out here is aggressive, but we definitely are comfortable as a team with the schedule that we've put in front of you. So we've overlaid some items such as, the owner review during schematic design and construction documents, and the review of the cost estimates during those times would also be done while we're doing design submissions for B3, et cetera. So we know that there's going to be a lot of layers to this and a lot of items being done in conjunction with one another, and we're ready to do so.
Thank you.
Is there a question from the board?
I have a question that kind of, maybe I missed something, but I think I love how you organized with the band on the side of your slides of what you're going to discuss. Is there a slide on budget? I guess maybe I can just follow with my question that, do you have any concerns about budget or any ideas on prioritizing budget you want to talk about now?
Yeah. Budget's always an issue. I know there's been some inflation values added. It was done. This original budget was done in 2016, but that's where the CM at risk really helps out this project. And I've done a number of projects with the University of Minnesota. Maybe if we start running into budget issues, are there some things that we can push off to a future phase? One of those items could be the toilets. Is it something that, talking to Clayton at the University of Minnesota Code Office, and as long as we develop a plan for inputting them later dates. So there are mechanisms that we can use to work with the budget. We've done that at Montague Hall was a project that we did with Dunham, and we had, I don't know how many ad alternates we had, But the major portion of the project was to get the mechanical units and the ventilation in. And then we had like finishes kind of came later. We did, I think, as an ad alternate, the auditoriums. So there's ways that we can work within the budget. Nick, I don't know if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head there. It's first and foremost having an efficient design and a design approach. So looking at a chilled beam system, it used to be that the contractors would think that's more expensive, but I think as they've gotten more used to installing these types of systems, the cost of those came down. They're more on par, or in some instances, I've seen it come in lower than what a typical VAV system would be. So anytime you can reduce the coordination effort by putting smaller ductwork in these type buildings, that saves a lot of money. The other thing looking at saving money here is reusing some of that distribution routing paths. So by reusing that location of the shaft will definitely be a benefit. And then infilling the penthouse between the two, you save a couple walls on there. So it's just it's making smart decisions throughout the course of the design that helps keep it on budget. And then, like Kane said, the other way we've done this on a number of other projects on campus is break out the things that can be done later. So like on sports and health, we broke out the bathrooms that could be added separately later. Put the infrastructure in that you need, plan for them, make it efficient to do it, but allow it to happen later if need be. So some things like to that nature is I think how we make the budget work. Now we do, we understand that there's a lot of things that have been added to the budget here as we've chatted through and went through the initial meetings here that maybe weren't listed in the pre-design. One being the generator, and then the bathrooms and some other exiting requirements. So we understand that we're starting off at a little bit of a disadvantage, but that's why we hit the ground running and start having those conversations early.
And I'll just reiterate what Kane had to say as well. We're happy to hear that the CM at risk is on the streets and that process is happening because I think that's going to be crucial to this project of having them a part of the team as soon as possible and helping guide us through those budget decisions early.
Thank you.
Question from the university?
Sure. Kind of riff off the budget issue. This is maybe for Kane. Whether you defer some of this work or not, I'm just intrigued by my standard question here, which is how tight this building is, how tight the spaces are, and something has to give. So even if you defer the restrooms, let's say, where are you going to put everything? And without a design solution, do you have some approaches to all the needs that this little building is going to require?
Well, the projects we've worked on, and it's been painful, but we've taken classrooms offline to make it a mechanic room, and Montague Hall was one. We just kind of, it was a classroom that had no windows. It was an internal classroom. And I remember talking to a faculty member. He said it was one of the worst classrooms on campus. So they weren't sad to see it go. But just across campus, there's a lot of need for space. And in this plan that Melissa brought up, the very north is a seminar room. That in the core. So the core has two restrooms and a closet, and then north of that is a seminar room. That would be some opportunities. I think if we go to 4 women's toilets and 4 men's, maybe we can do 4 unisex for women and 4 unisex for men. But it's going to be a hard conversation with end users to see if we can take that seminar room away from them. Are they going to? And it's not just this floor. It's most likely going to be all floors. But that's going to be it's a hard discussion. And I know it's a campus-wide discussion where if we take space from them, are they going to be promised space somewhere else? And then as Nick, we were talking about we were talking about increasing the shaft, and we're in the middle of this plan. We're showing increased shaft size, which cuts into this pre-function space I was talking about, and that's where the display cases were. So if we don't get rid of those display cases, we're going to have display cases and shafts, and we're going to have no space. So, it's not equal. We're not having a classroom space, but we're going to provide a lounge space. So there might be some give and take with the end users, but really working with John and John Kessler and the people at the university wide to really find spaces throughout this building.
I can jump in just on one thing that came, just to kind of piggyback on the shaft location. You brought that up. If we can keep it in that same location, it takes out a little bit of pre-function space, but it doesn't put it into those classrooms, which I think was the original thought here, putting supply and current staff in those classrooms. And that really makes those classrooms a lot less functional by taking up large shaft space in there. So we would really strive to have that as the last resort. And I think our concept here will help us by preventing that from needing to occur.
Thank you.
Question from the board?
Another twist on Mark's question, the fight for space. I don't know if it's for Kane or Melissa. Is there a way to turn this fight for space synergistically into a synergistic way to achieve some of your architectural potential that you've discussed?
Yeah, I think that's the whole, it goes back to that discussion of the pre-function space. Using our background in hospitality, but again, it's the unfortunate thing is we're probably going to end up. I don't want to call a seminar room a classroom, but losing some enclosed, more private space, and now we're making it very public space. Looking at in the lower level, it's really all fairly well used by the art department. Walking through the spaces in the lower level, it's jam packed. And then there's a mechanical and the electrical vault on the lower level. Really, the only options for additions are at the entry, or building the penthouse. But as we saw in some of those other plans, the penthouse is going to be full of all of Dunham's what they need to put up there to save space down below. I mean, at Montague Hall, we had an air handler in a penthouse. Working with the McGough at CM at Risk, we ran out of money. We could not build this penthouse. So then we had to do these hard conversations of where does the air handling unit go? So then we got rid of a classroom and a janitor's closet to get the air handler unit inside.
And I think the pre-function space that we've been talking about here in front of these three main classrooms, that's not ideal space to start incorporating restrooms. Even if they fit, there's a major traffic flow in that space that's very public. So we haven't assessed in terms of including additional restrooms there, but we certainly feel that that's the best place, as Nick and Kate have mentioned, to increase shaft size, because that minorly takes away from the availability of a little bit of open space in this tight floor plan, and be able to give some openness and accessibility for the students in that space.
Thank you.
Question from the university.
Sure. I'm conveying maybe a question from the Duluth campus regarding the team workload capacity, if you will. So maybe, Melissa, this is for you. If you can reassure us about your capacity. I know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. So we do have, as you know, a number of projects going on the UMD campus right now, but happy to report that nearly all of them are complete in terms of design. We have most of them going out for bid. We have a couple going out in January, and then are going to be under construction. So we are in a good place for this project. In terms of our team availability, I have zero concerns. We have a staff of 17 architecture and interior design related staff between both our Duluth and our St. Paul office. Duluth office is 9 total, and we are that office will be primarily the one working on this project. So Kane and I have gone through that extensively because we did know that that was a concern brought up, but we have zero concerns. And we also, as an advantage that we wanted to portray, is that when we are on campus for these projects, Kane has many stories of just the impromptu meetings that happen and the importance of us being available to you. And we find that a huge benefit for this project. This is a messy renovation project that's going to take a lot of time on site, a lot of digging, a lot of information gathering, and we're there, and we want to be there and be able to provide for the project. So, Kane, I don't know if you have anything to add.
Well, and I don't know if you saw Melissa roll her eyes on me telling stories. It gets a little too much in the office sometimes, but I was on campus. We're doing a bathroom remodel, and I was on campus with one of my colleagues. I was just showing her what we were doing in the bathroom remodel. I didn't leave campus until 3.5 hours later, because every time we were walking down a concourse, I ran into somebody that I was doing a project with, and there's questions, and we dealt with it. And Emily was rolling her eyes. It's like, oh my God, another one. But it's and I think that's a benefit. I mean, as often as we are on campus, we meet deadlines. I think we're fairly that we've met deadlines. We've got the 3 projects. We've got an NRRI elevator remodel, a phase air handling phase at Sports and Health, fire alarm upgrade at Sports and Health. We've got some current smaller projects on campus. Mark, you know about the Glen Sheen retaining wall right there.
I do.
So that's still out there, but we're fairly close to that one. But yeah, so we're going to be on campus a lot, I think, starting this summer. Nick, I don't know if you would like to add anything.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of, you mentioned just being on campus. It's not necessarily that there's always a question or an issue that the contractor needs and has for us. A lot of times it's having that opportunity to be on campus and to look at multiple projects and head off a potential issue by being there, being able to look at it. And normally, like on a mechanical system, you can walk into a space and say, well, they put this pipe over here rather than over here. Or they have the wrong piece of equipment on site. That can help save time in the long run and save the contractor dollars, and then ultimately save the university impact on their budgets and schedules for that. So it helps us do that. And if we step back and look at our MEP services, we have a staff of over 100 mechanical, electrical engineers. We have a number of people besides myself that have done work on campus. So it's a good team that we have working for you on our side as well.
And I think it's just, we keep talking about how big our offices are, but it's really Melissa, Nick, and I, Jim, we're still at the forefront of this. It's just we may have other people in the office helping us out, but we're the face of this project. We are kind of the last call. It's not like we're going to hand it off to you.
No, thank you. Again.
Question from the board.
Yeah, expansion of the penthouse creates several problems structurally, and we don't have a structural engineer presenter, but you might delegate this concern. First of all is additional snow load, drifted snow on the roof, and very likely this building is not designed for the snow, drifted snow at that time in 1970. And second question, the flow load for the penthouse required higher loads than a regular floor or roof. So these two questions need to be addressed, and it will impact the cost too. So just make sure.
So Melissa, I don't know if you could flip to that
Sure.
next slide with the penthouse.
Yep.
So before the presentation, I did talk to our structural engineer. One of the benefits of this building, it's steel framed. And the second benefit is we're gutting it. So if there's any modifications that we need to do, all the steel is going to be exposed. And then, and John Almett was talking about, it's going to be fairly easy then to upgrade the steel if needed to make sure the floor loading works. I understand your concern about the drift loading. The penthouse isn't going to go. There's a little bit of a. I'm trying to think, maybe 10 feet between the penthouse and where Humanities building starts. You can see the top line. There's the air-cooled chiller. There's a line. That line is Humanities. And then on the other side of that is the Humanities penthouses. But there's some investigation that we're going to have to do. A.B. Anderson is steel. Humanities is a poured concrete structure. So there's going to have to be some work done to verify snow loading to make sure it's all current code.
Yeah, one reason we were trying to hold that north wall back was to help limit the impact on the adjacent Humanities building there.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, go ahead. We have 38 seconds left, so with that, Melissa, I'll let you fill in the last 30 seconds if you like.
Thank you. Again, we just really appreciate the opportunity to be here. We're very excited about this project and appreciate all the flexibility with the new platform too. So we look forward to hearing from you, and Happy New Year to everybody.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
And with that, thank you for the interview. We really appreciate it. And you can expect to hear the results from the Executive Secretary the next couple of days.
All right. Thank you.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.